One positive thing that I think's been happening over the past few weeks is more and more people are realizing the ridiculousness of the positions on the far right and far left when it comes to opposition to the war in Iran, opposition to Israel, opposition to basic sanity. And they're having a bit of a meltdown as they're realizing President Trump is very much on the side of sanity when it comes to these matters. And I want to show you how this meltdown is manifesting. First of all, I want to show you how Steven Crowder responded to this ridiculous tweet by Dave Smith, where he said, Islam is such a violent religion. Every time we murder a bunch of their children, they try to kill some of us. Disgusting. Which is such a distortion, such a reversal of cause and effect. I want to show you what Steven Crowder has to say, but I've also got some other people that I want to show you having a meltdown, like Nick Fuentes and others, as they realize where President Trump stands and they realize which way the tide is turning. Let's first have a watch of Steven Crowder responding to this absurd tweet.
Islam is such a violent religion. Every time we murder a bunch of their children, they try to kill some of us. Disgusting. Okay, here's the truth. And I get that it's easy for people to believe this out there if you just haven't opened the Quran or any other history book. First, let's go through history. Islam has been entirely spread through violence and conquest since its inception. Every single century, with no exception, predating the United States. And then it was our first real war or conflict once we had become a country after ratification as the United States. Why? Because of Muhammad. You can go to the 7th century, where you look at Muhammad besieging, executing, enslaving everyone who stood against him. You can look at the conquest of Levant. You can go 8th century. There's more Islamic conquest. You can go to the 15th century, the sack of Constantinople, kind of a big one. And this is the reason that it's important. Of course, the Barbary Wars, like we talked about, that's the 18th, 19th century with a bunch of Islamic pirates. That's really why we have the kind of Navy and Marines that we do. And this, by the way, also brings us to just a few hours ago. Suicide bombers carried out a series of attacks in Nigeria, 23 dead, over 100 injured, because in the 20th century, they actually conquered MI6.
Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
It's a quick movie.
Roll credits. And we'll get to the founders here. So history, the founders, which would be Muhammad versus Jesus. But it's important to note, Christianity, Stephen, my name, first martyr. If you were a Christian early on, you were killed, you were executed. Christianity spread exclusively through proselytizing, missions works, and cultural conversion. Islam, when it started, no known oppressor. People go, I don't know, well, what was this? Some kind of new thing? Okay, whatever. It wasn't globally known. Exclusively spread through conquest, through violence. Did Jesus Christ ever call for never-ending war, jihad, or specifically to kill those who subverted the book, namely Christians and Jews? I know you'll find some verses and the Quran will say, actually, they say we respect the people of the book. No, they don't, and I'll get to that in a second. Did Jesus do any of those things? No. Did Muhammad? Yes.
So, not completely accurate what Steven Crowder is saying about Christianity, because once tied to the Roman state, it did spread in part through coercion and force. Although the real sort of violent politicization and use of going to war, it does seem there was a substantial rise in that, the Crusades, once you had Islam as a religion of conquest. And so I think that's an important point to clarify. Also, we have to acknowledge there's been a very dark and painful history of Christian violence towards Jews throughout the ages, forced conversions, pogroms, ghettos, blood libels, all these kind of things as well. So, that's something that has to be acknowledged. But I think the fundamental mistake that Dave, whether or not he's making it intentionally or not, I don't know, is this stupid reversal of cause and effect where they say, well, of course we're radicalizing people because we're so terrible. I'm sorry, but let's just go back to 9/11. Was there a war in Afghanistan or Iraq that they're responding to? The terrorists? Actually, if you listen to bin Laden, he said it was to do with Israel and America's support for Israel. So really what's going on is that Islamist violence exists because not everyone subscribes to their ideology, and therefore they believe they have to go to war. And it is suicidal, intellectually suicidal, to go down the approach of saying, no, we're the cause of all their aggression. That will just lead to ruin, honestly. And I want to show you how this meltdown is getting more and more ridiculous. Look at Nick Fuentes here. Listen to what he had to say. Well, he's saying that he thinks he's so upset with the fact that America and Israel are showing unprecedented cooperation, going to war against the evil Iranian regime, because he cannot handle the fact that Israel is, its star is rising. It's on the up. And therefore, he says, no, instead, we should let Iran go nuclear. So much for America first. Have a watch.
I think the only way, if there is one, out of this is regime change in Israel and America. That's the only way out of this. Iran, once we finish here, if we withdraw without toppling the government, they're going to try to build the nuclear bomb, I assume. They're going to try to rebuild their missiles and drones. We're going to be right back where we started in 6 months, unless Netanyahu is not in power and a weaker Israeli leader is in place. He'll feel the same way, but he won't be as powerful as Netanyahu. And we need regime change in the United States. We need Democrats in Congress that can shut the administration down and prevent the government from bringing us back. In a word, let's let Iran go nuclear. Let's let Iran rebuild its defenses. Let's let Israel and the United States replace their leadership by a population that wants to be free, that doesn't want a war. In Israel, it's not going to happen. In America, this is what we need. And we need an American president who can give confidence to the Iranians that we are not going to annihilate them and that they don't need to pursue these kinds of weapons, because we will restrain Israel for the sake of ourselves and for the sake of regional stability. That's the only solution from day one that was ever going to work. Going all the way back to the beginning, going all the way back to JCPOA, even the Obama years. That was the only solution.
There you go, my friends. That's your America First option there, right there. Forget the Zionists. They don't have any interest in what's best for America. They are only interested in war and chaos. This is America First right here. Let's let Iran get a nuclear weapon. This is treacherous stuff against America, what he's saying. And people believe that he's America First. The hypocrisy, as well as the desperation, is getting clearer and clearer for everyone to see. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see Benjamin Netanyahu did a really funny video with Mike Huckabee, because there are all these rumors online that somehow Netanyahu had been assassinated. So he puts that myth to bed. Have a watch.
Mr. Prime Minister, I wanted you to know the president asked me to come and make sure you were okay.
Yes, Mike. Yes, I'm alive.
I checked that, and I'm happy to see that. But he wanted to make sure because, you guys get along too well.
I know, and we shake hands with 5 fingers in each hand. But I have to tell you, I'm alive, but I have this card.
Oh.
And, don't read it. So it's a punch card. Mm-hmm. Today I erased 2 names on the punch cards. And you see how many more to go on this batch.
You know what the good news is? My name is not on the punch card.
Your name is on the list of the good guys.
Thank you.
And what the president, the U.S. forces are doing is incredible. We're very proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. And getting rid of these lunatics who would like to develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city after wiping out Israel. They ain't going to do that. We're wiping them out.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, friends, all I can say is let the meltdown continue. Meanwhile, Trump has also had a go at Keir Starmer for not really showing a great deal of staunch standing by America at this time, which frankly I think is really wrong. If you want to be dependent on America, have a mutual relationship, yeah, you can have independent thought, but at the same time, when there's a clear mutual threat, they don't just say in Iran, death to America and death to Israel, they say death to England. And Keir Starmer is basically sitting this one out, sort of seems. Trump gave very strong words here. By the way, before we continue, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, hit the subscribe button, like our videos, comment, hype. All these things really, really help. Have a watch of Trump's words.
Mr. President.
You see that man right there? You know who that is?
Churchill.
Winston Churchill. The late, great Winston Churchill. And Barack Hussein Obama did not want his bust in this office. Did you know that? And Barack Hussein Obama sent that bust back to England. They didn't want it. And when I came in, I was asked if I wanted it. I said, absolutely, I want it. And I put it right there, Winston Churchill. And, you know, unfortunately, Keir is not Winston Churchill.
Well, all I can say is let the meltdown continue. Now, friends, before we finish, quick, really important message. You ever heard someone say, I've got no problem with Jews, it's just Zionists and Zionism? Well, in our new JTV Plus documentary, we are busting that myth. We've created a new film called Zionism and Judaism, The False Separation. Have a watch of the trailer, and if you want to watch the full thing on this incredibly important documentary, you can click the link below in the video description and watch it right now. I'm not against Judaism, I'm just against Zionism.
It's not Jewish, it's Zionism.
Judaism and Zionism are completely separate.
You know, Judaism is a faith, Israel is a state.
You can be Jewish without being a Zionist.
Zionism and Judaism is totally diametrically opposed.
I'm sure you've heard this before, from protesters, from politicians, from even well-meaning people trying to navigate the Israel-Palestine debate. But I'm here to tell you that this separation is complete nonsense. It's a comfortable lie. The kind of lie that sounds intelligent but collapses the moment you actually open this book, the Torah, the Bible, and study Judaism on its own terms. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to tackle this myth head on. We'll actually look inside the Torah and see how in the very first book, Genesis, there's no mention of law or religion. It's all centered on the promise of a specific land to a specific nation. We'll trace how Judaism, not modern politics, but Judaism itself, is structured around one obsessive, relentless, undeniable claim: the land of Israel belongs to the Jews. We'll reveal why the building of a nation in the land of Israel is an indispensable part of the project of Judaism. Why Judaism is not a religion, it's the divine project of a nation in a land. We'll discover how the Torah preemptively answered the colonization accusation that wouldn't fully materialize for another 3,000 years. We'll explore why, if the land is so central, Jews had to spend thousands of years in global exile. We'll unpack what Zionism actually means, and how anti-Zionism doesn't just contradict Israeli policy, it contradicts the fundamental architecture of Judaism itself. For some people, this is going to be uncomfortable viewing, but by the end, we'll prove beyond any reasonable doubt that Judaism and Zionism are inseparable. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.